Thanks for reaching out to me and asking for some help on some of these quiz questions. I did go in and to see what you had selected on some of them, and I did notice that you actually have already taken the retemp. Looks like you did much better on the the retry. It looked like you maybe only missed one on that, but I'll go ahead and go through these for you anyways that you had originally asked me. Hopefully this can help you. You can save the link to this video or something, or keep it in your emails, and if you want to use it for studying for a test and whatnot, though, might help you out. So let's start off with number 1 here. So we've got 3m minus 2 times m plus 7 equals m plus 14. So the first thing we want to do in PEMDAS is we want to break down our parentheses, right? So I'm going to distribute this 2 in. And the key is going to be remembering that the 2 has a negative there in front of it. So I'm going to, didn't do anything to the 3m, but I distribute that negative 2 times m is minus 2m, and the negative 2 times 7 is negative 14, and that equals m plus 14. Didn't do anything to that side. Now I'm going to combine like terms on the left side here. So 3m minus 2m is just going to give me m, and then I've still got minus 14 equals m plus 14. Now a lot of times in this step it kind of gets people might mess this up because you see, oh, I've got a negative over here and a positive over here. Well, those just cancel each other out. Well, they would if they were on the same side of the equal, but since they're on different sides, you need to remember that you want to try and get that 14 over there, and in order to do that, I would add 14 to this side. That would cancel it out on my left-hand side, but then I'm actually going to add 14 over here, and I get m equals m plus 28. Okay, so my 14s did not cancel out. If they would have canceled out, then I would have had m equals m, and I think you had selected all solutions or all possibilities. But that didn't happen. So now I need to get my m over here. Well, I'm going to subtract the m, and that gets rid of it on the right-hand side, but then I got to subtract the m over here. And that actually ends up canceling it out. So what I end up with is I get 0 equals 28. Well, we know 0 does not equal 28, so this is no solution. So a couple spots there where I think maybe you were getting all possibilities was if you forgot to distribute that negative to the 7, then you would have ended up with a positive 14 here. And then what would have ended up happening here is you would have been subtracting that 14, and then you would have subtracted here. So just make sure you're carrying that negative all the way through. So that leads us to the next one, which is very similar. You see, it's almost the same exact problem. The only difference is we've got 2m instead of just a single m. So we kind of know towards the end where we ended up canceling out. This time is not going to cancel out. So the left-hand side, I'm not going to go through it step by step like I did up here. I'm just going to, it's literally the same exact thing. You're going to distribute that negative 2 in, and then you're going to combine 3m minus 2m minus 14. You're going to end up with m minus 14. And then on this side, you get 2m plus 14. Now you want to add your 14 again to get rid of it, and then at the same time I'm just going to subtract my 2m, so that goes away from this side. I want to make sure I put my plus 14 over here so I don't forget to do that, and then I want to make sure on my left hand side I do my negative 2m plus my m there. So on the left hand side, negative 2m plus m ends up just being negative m, and then on my right hand side I got 14 plus 14 equals 28. Now we don't like to keep our variables negative, so we want to, you can envision this as if it was saying that there is a negative 1 in front of my m. So in order to, when we're multiplying things together, the way we get rid of that is we can divide by a negative 1. That cancels all this out, negative and negative, and we're just going to be left with m. But then what I need to do over here is divide by a negative 1. And then really what that's going to end up doing is just making that side negative. So I get m equals negative 28 for my answer. So pretty similar as far as the algebra goes, pretty similar to the first problem. The main difference being that because we had that 2m, they didn't end up canceling out. And I can't remember what you had selected on this one. But that's kind of the key on that one. So moving on now to the last one that you asked about, number 4. This one, again, algebra-wise is the same. It's just, it's getting a little more complex because now we're having to break down multiple parentheses. So first thing, again, let's break down our parentheses. We're going to distribute that 2 in. we're going to distribute that 5 in. We're going to notice right here, just like in question 1, that 5 is actually negative, so we're going to want to make sure that we distribute that negative with it. So on the left-hand side, let's do that. We get 2x minus 6, and then still minus 7. And that equals 18. And now distributing that negative 5, so negative, I apologize, my computer's kind of slow here, so it's jittery, minus 5x minus 20, right? Negative 5 times 4 is going to be negative 20, so minus 20. Combine like terms on the left-hand side, so I get 2x minus 13 equals, and then on the right-hand side, sorry, I'm not going to do anything yet with that 5x, so it's still just minus 5x. I couldn't combine that, but I could combine my positive 18 and my negative 20 is going to leave me with negative, or minus 2, or negative 2, however you want to say it. And this is 2x over here. So now let's go ahead and get like terms. I'm going to add my 5x over here so that that cancels out, but then I got to make sure I add 5x over here, so it's positive. And then I want to get rid of that 13 here, so I'm going to add 13, and then I want to make sure I add 13 here. So on the left hand side I get 5x plus 2x is 7x, and then on the right hand side negative 2 plus 13 gives me a positive 11, and then to get x by itself, when it's being multiplied, I'm just going to divide by the same number, so I'm going to divide by 7, so that's going to go away, but then when I do to one side I got to do the other. So I'm going to divide by 7. That's already in simplest terms, so I get x equals 11 divided by 7. So hopefully, I'm not sure where, maybe you kind of, I was trying to think of where some of the common mistakes were. I think probably on this negative, that's key here. When it's a minus 5 and it's being distributed in, you want to make sure you carry that negative with it. If you don't, then if you just do it on the first one, the tendency might be to say minus 5x plus 20. That's going to make a huge difference. So just make sure on all your problems you're carrying that in with you. So hopefully this helps. Let me know if you have any further questions, and have a great week.